Hi, I'm Isabel, the founder behind Izzy, formerly Forest and Thread. I'm really excited that we're actually rebranding. I had been thinking about it for a long time, but it's really scary to pull the trigger on something like that. I started this process in January. Throughout the last 9 months, I have come so close to just walking away and being like, I'm not doing it. It's too complicated. There's too much to figure out. Why bother fixing something that's not broken? Like, Forest and Thread is great. But ultimately, what I keep coming back to is I really want this company to grow. I really want it to have a future. And I see this vision for it. And current Forest and Thread doesn't fit the vision of where I see it going. The goal of the rebrand, it's to try and elevate the brand image to match the caliber of the product I'm already putting out there. So my sewing patterns, I know in my heart, in my gut, they're really good. I've gotten really good feedback from people that they're really good. They're really easy to follow. They're really fun. They're really different designs. I have a background in design. That's my specialty, is design. I want to keep making really good designs for people to sew at home. But I want my brand image to match the elevated, beautiful, meticulous detail of my sewing patterns. And so the goal with Izzy is to just bring everything together and kind of match the brand image and the Izzy world with the excellence of the sewing patterns themselves. So Izzy is my nickname, my childhood nickname. And it's actually pretty funny because my parents told this story growing up that they never wanted anyone to call me Izzy, apparently. They had announced that my name was Isabel to my uncle or something, and he was like, oh, so Izzy for short. And I guess they were like, no, not Izzy. But then, yeah, growing up, it's just, that's what I was called. Izzy was my nickname. And it's just, a nickname just makes you feel close to people. It makes you feel like you know them, they know you, you're comfortable, you've got this nickname. And so I really liked the fact that naming the company Izzy, my nickname, allows people to feel close to me in that way that friends feel with each other. And so I loved that element of it. I loved that Izzy could lend itself to making people feel close to me. I also loved the idea that it's this nod to a traditional fashion house where the fashion company is named after the designer, but I didn't want it to feel stuffy or like Isabel Chloe Levine, that would be my full name. And I just felt that's a bit much. I'm not that serious of a person. I had to have a little bit of whimsy in there. And I felt if I wanted it to be a company named after me, but not taking myself too seriously, Izzy was the perfect little balance between the two. My plans for the immediate future of Izzy is that I'm hoping to release lots of sewing patterns. I'm hoping to continue to make these really in-depth virtual sewing workshops where it's pre-recorded and it's a 2-view setup so that you can see my face and see what I'm doing, and it feels like you're sewing with a friend or a real live instructor in the room, and I could try and keep it natural like this a little bit. I hope to keep making these really in-depth workshops because I'm listening to feedback. I'm discussing things with customers. I'm trying to make this company work. I am leaning into what has been working over the past few years. I feel like when I first started the company, when I started Forest and Thread 5 years ago, I went in with this particular mindset feeling like I need to teach people how to sew from the very beginning. There's so many ways for people to learn and to get their foot in the door and to kind of begin the process of learning to sew their clothes that I have started to realize maybe I don't need to be the one teaching people how to first sit down at the machine. Maybe my patterns can lean into a little bit more involved of a project. Maybe my patterns are designer patterns. They're patterns that are of the design quality that you would see in the designer section of a department store, but that you can sew yourself. I want to continue to push the boundaries of what a sewing pattern could be and try to continue to grow my design library in that way. So really kind of thinking about my sewing patterns as this designer collection. I started Forest and Thread because I lost my job for one reason. I was a designer for a really small scale luxury women's wear brand. And of course, I completely understood that they had to make some difficult decisions because everything shut down. The world shut down. It was the pandemic. And so I found myself in a little bit of a limbo period where I wasn't employed, but I also wasn't technically let go yet. And so I started sewing because, I was perfectly happy to have some time at home to just sew whatever I felt like. It had been a long time, working in the industry, going to school for fashion design. I wasn't really sewing for myself very often. So when I found myself with all this extra time, I was like, I'm gonna make just a collection for fun. And so I started working on this really intricate design where it was patchworking different linen colors that I had dyed myself, and I was using French seams, and it was beautiful, but it was taking forever. And I was like, oh my God, I could never sell this because I would either not make any money or I would have to sell it for so much that no one would buy it, so I still would not make any money. So I had this light bulb moment where I was like, what if I made a kit that included everything you needed to in order to make this at home? And so that's where Forest and Thread was born out of. And it was this idea to make garment making kits for the home sewer, but using my expertise and my background from my education, I went to Parsons, and from my experience working in the industry, working for these luxury women's wear designers where seam finishes were really important, little details that just elevated the garment were really important. And so taking those skills and those details and everything that I'd learned over the past, 10 years of living in New York and working in New York and everything, and applying that skill set and that expertise to a DIY sewing company. I have really amazing customers. I feel like people who are running businesses in the sewing world are really lucky because I feel like people who like to sew and make their own clothes and partake in this craft are just really warm, good-hearted people. They get really excited about my unique designs, which is so fun and very rewarding for me, and it's what I like to make, and so I'm excited to continue to push that more and more. But yeah, I don't think I would be doing this rebrand without the customer. I know I wouldn't be doing this rebrand without my customers, not just financially, but also just emotionally. I felt the emotional support of this community to keep going. And although I have had countless times where I've thought about stopping maybe, or just putting it on pause, or, it's not easy. I'm not gonna lie, this has been so hard. And I feel privileged that I get to even say that I get to even experience how difficult it is to try and build your business, because that is a privilege that I am experiencing this. But it's really hard. And I think that having amazing, supportive customers who let you know that they like your product and engage with you and, just help spread the word too. Geez, I am just so thankful that people share on social media and just help bring people to my brand. So yeah, I am incredibly thankful to everyone who has gotten me to the point that I am today and have allowed me to transition from Forest and Thread to Izzy. I hope that all my Forest and Thread fans can get behind Izzy and that everyone's just here for the ride.